Welcome to the chapter 2 of class 5 environmental studies. The name of the chapter is Motions of the Earth. So we are going to take a look at very interesting concepts like what's rotation, what's the axis of rotation, what's equator, what's northern and southern hemisphere, what makes a day or an hour, why does a year has 365 days, what's a leap year, what are the different seasons, what's lunar month, and in lunar month topic we have some terms like Tithi, Shukla Paksha and Krishna Paksha. So we'll try to understand what's the meaning of these terms. Yes, I'm very excited about this chapter. So let's start. So take a look at this picture. You see the North Pole and the South Pole on the right hand side image, right? And you can notice that it's inclined. You see, it's not it's at an inclination compared to the plumb line, right? So an object, when it rotates around itself, we call it rotation, right? When an object turns around itself and around an axis, we call it it's the rotation, and the imaginary line around which it rotates, it's called the axis of rotation, right? So now you can see the Earth rotates around this line that connects the North Pole and South Pole, and it's a bit inclined. Now you can also notice there is a center line, the line in the middle, that cuts this globe into half, the upper half and the lower half, and that makes the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere. So the imaginary line that would divide the Earth into two parts, that's equator, and the two equal parts are northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere respectively. Now let's take a look at what makes a day and what makes a night. So the period of time that the Earth takes to complete one rotation is called a day. So we know that the planet Earth rotates around itself, and in turn the planet also rotates around the sun. So one revolution of the Earth around the sun makes 1 year, but its one rotation around itself makes a day. Okay, one complete rotation of the Earth around itself makes a day. Now a day has two parts, a daytime or nighttime, right? Or simply called as day and night. Also, we divide the whole day into 24 parts, okay? And those are the 24 hours, right? So you can, for example, you can say from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., these are 12 hours, and the rest of 6 p.m. to the next day 6 a.m., these are another 12 hours, right? So that comprises of 24 hours. You also have studied the 12-hour clock and 24-hour clock, right? So we can divide the day into 24 equal parts, and each of the part will be called an hour, and 24 hours makes a day. Now, if you look at the globe from the direction of the North Pole, okay, you can see that the Earth is actually rotating anti-clockwise. That is, the Earth rotates from west to east, right? Now, as the Earth is rotating, different part of the Earth, or let's say half of the Earth, is exposed to the sun. Now here's an interesting experiment. You can keep a candle at the middle of the circle, and on the circle there is the globe, and the globe can rotate along the circle, right? So the candle is equivalent to the sun here, right? So you can always see that the the lit portion of the globe will be the day. The other side of the globe will be dark, and that's night, right? So we have seen that the period that the Earth takes to complete one revolution around the Sun is called an year. But how many days or hours does it really take to complete this one entire revolution around the Sun? Okay, so 1 year is comprised of 365 days and 6 hours in a year. Okay, so when we say how many days are there in a year, we generally say it's 365 days, but more correctly speaking, it's 365 days and 6 hours in a year. Okay, so in the Gregorian calendar, a year was taken only 365 days. That means 6 hours were taken less or counted less every year. So in a span of 4 years, that will be 24 hours, 6 into 4, right? 24 hours are counted less. And that's where the concept of leap year comes into picture. Okay, so now to make up for that lost 1 day, why 1 day? Because it's 24 hours, 6 hours lost every year, and in 4 years you will lose 24 hours. 24 hours is 1 day. So to make up for that one lost day, the month of February was added with one extra day, okay, every 4th year, and that's the leap year, right? So normally we say that in a regular year it's 365 days, and more accurately speaking 365 days and 6 hours in a year. And in the leap year, instead of 365 days, we have 366 days, right? Because the month of February has a date of 29 instead of just 28, right? That's the special year, and that's leap year, right? Now the next concept is about seasons, right? So between 22nd of March and 23rd of September, in the northern hemisphere, the days are longer than the night. Okay, in the northern hemisphere, these are longer than the night. Days are longer than the night, and that's why it's warmer, and we call it summer, right? At the same time, between these two dates, 22nd of March till 23rd of September, in the southern hemisphere, that is the lower half of the planet Earth, the days are shorter, and the nights are longer, right? And it's colder there, and we call it winter. And exact opposite thing happen, which is 23rd of September to 22nd of March. The days are longer than the nights in southern hemisphere, right? And that's why it's summer there, right? I hope you get the concept, right? Now, so now in India, we have, apart from summer and winter, we have rainy season, and so we have summer, rainy, and winter as well. So these are the seasons which are the main seasons we divide the year into. But we can also divide the year into Ritu Chakra, or different 6 seasons. Okay, the cycles of these 6 seasons, and that's referred as Ritu Chakra. So if you divide it into 6 seasons, which are Vasant, Grishma, Varsha, Sharad, Hemant, and Shishi. If you consider these 6 different seasons, which are called basically Ritu Chakras, then we can divide the entire year into these 6 seasons as well, and not just the 3, which is rainy season, summer season, and winter season, right? And so traditionally, in these seasons, there are lots of festivals that are celebrated. There are folk songs, there are nice songs and games that are played in these seasons. Different seasons has different games and different songs associated with them, right? Now, so one important thing to remember is that the rotation of the Earth is basically responsible for the day and night, right? And the revolution of the Earth, and because it's inclined, its inclination of its axis gives rise to the cycle of seasons, right? Seasons is yearly, whereas day and night is for those 24 hours, right? Now, let's talk about the full moon and the new moon. Okay, so before we get into this, let me show you this nice image here. You can see there is a full moon day and there's a new moon day, right? So this happens in a cycle of 14 or 15 days. So the from the new moon to the full moon, either it takes 14 days or 15 days, and that's called the waxing moon. Okay, that's also called as Shukla Paksha. From the full moon to the new moon, it's again 14 or 15 days, and that's called the waning moon, right? Also known as Krishna Paksha. And these two fortnights, if you count them together, the fortnight of the waxing moon and the fortnight of the waning moon, that's one lunar month. And every day of this lunar month is called Tithi. So the new terms we learned is Tithi, Shukla Paksha, and Krishna Paksha. Okay. So one is the waxing moon, the other is waning moon. The waxing is associated with the new moon to the full moon cycle. From the full moon to the new moon cycle, it's the waning moon. Okay. Now, we know that moon revolves around the earth. This we also seen in the chapter 1, and that's why we say that the moon is a satellite of the earth, right? Because moon revolves around the earth and the earth revolves around the sun. Okay, and the path they follow to make this revolution, we call it orbit. This is something we have seen in the last chapter. Now these two orbits intersect. Okay, it just happens that these two orbits intersect somewhere. They are not like two parallel lines that do not intersect, right? They intersect somewhere. Okay. Well, so now the question is, what makes these different shapes of the moon, or these are called different phases of the moon? Now we know that moon does not have its own light. Okay, we see moon only because the light of the sun falls upon it, and that's why we see the moon. So now you can imagine, if the moon is a full moon, that means the entire surface of the moon, at least the surface that we see from the earth, is fully lit by the sun's light, right? So the important point to understand is we can see the moon because of the sun's light that falls on it, right? On a full moon night, the entire side of the moon that faces the earth is lit, right? That's why we see it. On a new moon light, we cannot see any of it because there is no sun's light reaching to the moon as we see from the earth, right? Now the cycle, the full moon to the new moon, the illuminated part of the moon seen from the earth becomes smaller and smaller, right? That's how it shifts, right? From the full moon to the new moon. And again, once again, it starts growing bigger and bigger, right? The illuminated parts starts increasing, and that's how you see these different phases of the moon. Okay, that's important to imagine and understand how the phases of the moon are influenced by its illuminated part, right? And remember, every day of the lunar month is called a Tithi. You know now what's the Shukla Paksha and what's the Krishna Paksha, and these two cycles of new moon to full moon is the waxing moon period. From the full moon to the new moon is the waning moon period, and this together comprises of the lunar month, right? Well, so to look at the question answers of this chapter, you may refer to the other video. Okay, and before we close this chapter, I just quickly wanted to share with you, I would like to introduce you to a nice program for kids. It's called Nirman Immunity Booster Program. It's offered by Mukti Yoga Abhyas. The listed benefits of doing this practice is that it's simple and yet a very powerful practice, enhanced immunity and lung capacity, increased concentration and focus. It's guided by Isha Hatha Yoga teacher, and all the practices are designed by Sadhguru. You can always request for a 5% discount using this reference code SchoolWithAI 5813. Or you can always call upon this number 91726 and know more about the program. The upcoming program is between 14th and 20th of June, so please hurry up. Also, if you are interested in making more customized content, you can always write us at contact@schoolwithai.com. Thank you and see you in the next session.